This week we're looking at popular photography in the 19th century, specifically stereography and also methods of photographing movement, as well as the Kodak Brownie camera, which was the first camera that anybody could operate. Our major questions are about how photographic technology recorded the perception of movement, but also how did the public consume these images, and also stereographs or three-dimensional photography. We will be understanding the technology behind stereography and instantaneous photography, and we're also going to discuss the public reception of these technologies and how they influence the representation of movement. So, starting with stereography, this seemed to confirm photography's status as an objective form of documentation because it recorded the three-dimensional appearance of the world. Stereography and instantaneous photography, though, really they dramatically challenged and extended human vision. So, for example, Muybridge's instantaneous photography allowed for even greater understanding of human and animal locomotion. However, what it documented didn't look the way people thought that motion should look. Additionally, stereography, instantaneous photography, and the ability to take your own photographs at home really changed how people perceived and experienced the world. So stereoscopy appears the year after photography is invented. This is the original stereoscope, and it is an instrument that's designed to reproduce binocular vision by placing two slightly different images next to each other, which creates the illusion of a three-dimensional scene. When Charles Wheatstone invents this, he was using drawings, not photography, though. In 1849, Brewster invents what's called the stereoscope, in which you put photographs in here. And a stereograph is a photograph produced using a twin lens camera that is designed to be viewed through a stereoscope. Here's this is an example of a stereograph camera. This one is actually owned by Matthew Brady, which is kind of cool just in terms of what we were thinking about in previous weeks. But this is, you can see the twin lenses here, so it would capture two images of the same thing, and they would be slightly different, and that difference is what it allows it to appear three-dimensional. Later, Oliver Wendell Holmes invents what he calls a stereoscope. It's for viewing these at home. And this was something that you would have in your parlor, and people would come over and maybe you'd look at stereographs together. It was kind of fun. This was wildly popular. Over the course of about 150 years, more than 170 million stereographs were produced. So let's look at some examples. Sometimes they recorded news events, like this is a stereograph showing the aftermath of an earthquake in Bagnara in Italy in 1909. Here is a view of the Pont Neuf in Paris. So this was something that if you were never going to go to Paris, it was really cool to imagine you could look at this and you really felt like you were there with the people on the bridge and the horses and buggies moving along. Often they would capture even more mundane things. So this is a rainy day on Broadway, again, giving you the sense of the cityscape. We will also be looking at Edward Muybridge's photographs of the horse in motion. This was absolutely shocking to the public when it came out, but many people kind of eagerly embraced that this is what moving animals actually looked like. For example, just a year after Muybridge publishes his horse in motion photographs, the Philadelphia painter Thomas Eakins makes this image a May morning in the park, and he painted the horse's legs to resemble what he'd observed in Muybridge's photographs. The public found this to be really problematic. It got panned by critics, but it was actually much more accurate than what had been painted before. Here we see another experiment in instantaneous photography. This is the French photographer Etienne Jules Maret's study of a man pole vaulting. So Maret, instead of having separate cameras like Muybridge, he records multiple exposures on a single negative, and the result being that you can see the literal progress of this pole vaulter. He does this also in a military context as an attempt to improve trainings, but we'll be looking at his work as well. Finally, there are additional technological advances that really change the practice of developing photographs. So in 1878, you have the invention of dry plate technology, that glass plates are coated with gelatin and allowed to dry. And so you don't have to develop them immediately, and you don't need the portable darkrooms anymore, which is what we had with wet collodion. This leads to a standardization of materials and the large-scale manufacture of ready sensitized printing papers. This replaces albumin papers. So the fact that you can do this at a much larger scale, it means that you can sell this to the public. You don't necessarily need to be an expert in it or buy your own materials. Also, the increased sensitivity of the negatives, it demands faster shutter speeds, which allows for the things that we've been talking about thus far with instantaneous photography. Definitely the most important thing that comes out of it from our perspective, though, as the public, is the invention of handheld cameras, namely the Brownie camera by Kodak in 1888. Their slogan was, "You press the button, we do the rest," because you would make the photographs and then you would mail them to the Eastman Company in Rochester, New York, to have them developed for you. They would send back the Brownie camera to you, reloaded with new film, so you could make more while they continued to develop your photographs. This is your discussion for the week. We're looking at some of the different photographic technologies that we have read about. So you'll be thinking about instantaneous photography from Muybridge, stereographs, Moret's movement photographs, and then also the Kodak and the invention of handheld cameras. And what I want us to think about in this discussion to start with is what was surprising about this technology, what subject matters were popular, but also how did these photographic technologies really shape public experience of the world, their opinions about art, their opinions about science. Your written assignment this week is to revise the Narrative Power of Documentary Photography essay. Your final draft's worth 15% of the grade. Look at my feedback on your rough draft, and as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out or schedule an appointment with me. I'd be very happy to look over your work together.